We're staying in our reusing content.dwg file, and I've left it in the same state as it was at the end of the last video. So you can now unpin the groups panel on the ribbon like so. What I'd also like you to do is double click on the wheel and zoom extents like we've done in previous videos. And then go to the home tab on the ribbon and click on the flyout here on the layers panel and just scroll up to the top and make sure you're on the 0 layer. That's really important this time for this particular video, and you'll see why in a moment. Now, what we're going to do is we're basically going to create and use a simple AutoCAD block. We're going to create a simple chair block. So what I'd like you to do is zoom in on the central area like we did at the beginning of the last video when we were using groups. Now, there's a little bit of space near the spline that forms that little weird kind of separating wall between the stairs and the entrance area. And we're going to create a simple chair. So zoom in reasonably close so that you've got a bit of space. And there's our 0 layer. Make sure we're on our 0 layer. We're then going to create a simple rectangle. So we're going to go to the draw panel, up here, click on the flyout and select rectangle. Pick a point about here, click, and drag upwards like so. Now, this is going to be the seat of a small chair. So roughly speaking, if we went for, say, about 600 by 600 millimeters, that's the seat of a small chair. So in each of the boxes here, you can type 600 like that, and then press the comma key, and then type 600 again like that, and then just press enter, and you'll get a small square like that. You can see it kind of relates to the chairs over here in the hot desking. It's a similar size. I'm then going to zoom in nice and close because I want to work on the chair itself. That's it at the moment. And we're going to create some really simple rectangles off of this and use the mirror command and just make it look like a sort of lounge type chair that you might have in an entrance area of a building. So back to the rectangle command, and I'm going to click here like so. Click that point there, and I'm going to come out, but I'm going to hover over this endpoint here and drag outwards like that. And I'm going to type in there 150. Make sure your polar tracking is coming out like that though. 150, enter. And that's going to be the arm of our chair. Then all we've got to do is go to the mirror command on the modify panel and select our smaller rectangle we've just created. Enter to confirm. First point of the mirror line. Make sure your object snaps are on down here, and it's midpoint to midpoint. Erase source objects? No, because we want 2 arms on the chair. Last but not least, we're going to create a very simple 3-point arc on the back of the chair. So we go to the draw panel again, click on the arc here and select 3-point. I'm going to start here, left click. I'm then going to hover over the midpoint. Don't click on it and come vertically upwards to about there. It doesn't have to be exact, but make sure you got that polar tracking kicking in and left click, and then come down to this endpoint and left click again. So there's our funky looking lounge chair. The arc forms the back of the chair and the 2 rectangles form the arms of the chair. You can now zoom out slightly again to give you some reference as to where things are. Now we're going to make this into a very simple block called lounge chair. So what we're going to do now is go to the insert tab on the ribbon. Now I always use the insert tab when I'm working with blocks because I've got the block panel and the block definition like so. So we need to go to block definition here, click on the flyout and select create block. Now the reason I've got you on the 0 layer is whenever you create a block on the 0 layer, it will always adopt the current drafting layer. Now, I haven't changed the current drafting layer at the moment, but I'll show you how that works in a minute. A block definition has to have a name, so we're going to call it lounge chair, like that. All one word. Base point, we pick a point. You don't need to put X, Y, and Z in or specify on screen. You can if you want to, but ideally you want to give this block an insertion point so it can be used over and over again. Hence, we are reusing the content. Pick point like so, and I would normally go for a midpoint there perhaps, or a midpoint there. Up to you. I'm going for the midpoint at the front. Click there. And as you can see, there's no way I could have guessed the X and Y values there. Not easily. Make sure your block unit is millimeters because we're working in millimeters for this particular project. We now need to select the objects that make the block. So we click on the Select Objects button there, and we click 1, 2, 3, and don't forget the square that forms the seat, 4. So there should be 4 total objects down on the command line. Press Enter to confirm, and you can see our little preview there now. Looks like a briefcase, in fact. It's actually meant to be a chair. And we want to convert these to a block. Now you've got a choice. You can retain the original objects, the rectangles and the arc. You can convert the objects to a block, or let's make you a little bit nervous here. Let's go to delete. Now, delete is fun. What will happen is the block is added to the DWG file, but it will delete the original objects that you used to form the block. It does not need to be annotative, but we will scale it uniformly in the X and Y direction. So tick the uniformly box, and also allow exploding. Always allow exploding for your blocks, because you might need to explode one, tweak it slightly, and create a slightly different block from it. So it's always useful to allow exploding. We don't need to open in the block editor. We will cover that later. Click on OK, and your chair has disappeared. But don't panic. It's in the DWG file. So what we do now is we go back to the Home tab on the ribbon. We change our layer. We're going to change it to the furniture layer. So use the slider bar, and there's the furniture layer there, because we want our block to come in on the current drafting layer, because we created it on layer 0. I then go back to the Insert tab on the ribbon, or you can use the block panel here on the Home tab. It's the same thing. You go to Insert, like so, and there's lots of different blocks, like so. Or you can go blocks from libraries, favorite blocks, or recent blocks. So what we can do here now is we need to scroll down this list. As you can see, I'm just using the wheel. There's all different blocks. Can you see all the different chairs and things? And we need to scroll down pretty fast. We need to get down to L, to our lounge chair. And you can see there's our lounge chair there, like so. Now you'll notice some of these blocks are colored. That's because they've been saved on their own individual layers. Ours has been created on layer 0, hence it's white on the layer 0. But when I click on lounge chair and come in, there's our lounge chair. You can see the insertion point that I set up. All I've got to do now is click. Now you'll notice before I click, I can right click, I can specify a different base point, I can scale it, rotate it, explode it, or repeat, which means I can add more than one block. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to click once here, roughly where I created it, and there is my block reference. If I hover over that, you can see it is a block reference on the layer furniture. If I select it, right click and go to properties and look down at the bottom, there you go, lounge chair, not annotative, it's rotated at 0 and it's millimeters. So the unit factor is 1, millimeters to millimeters, because that's in millimeters and our drawing's in millimeters. So I'll close the properties palette now, hit escape a couple of times, and that's basically how you create and reuse your simple block in your AutoCAD drawings.